Hi there, and welcome to Q the Health Podcast. I'm Ashley M. Martin, the hostess with so much love. For you listening, Q the Health is here to help you take the right action for your health, healing, and well being. How's your garden? How's it growing? Amongst the beautiful flowers and trees that are often in gardens, there are sometimes weeds or intruders that need to be dealt with. Just like weeds or intruders are in our natural gardens, there are things that intrude in our life gardens. Whether it's our spiritual garden, our mental garden, our emotional garden, our relational garden, and the things we have to deal with. One of the most common weeds and intruders is depression. According to the American Psychiatric Association, or APA, major depressive disorder, more commonly known as major depression, negatively affects how an individual feels, thinks, and behaves. Major depressive disorder can lead to a variety of physical and emotional issues and can decrease occupational function and home life. It can mess with your whole life. The DSM, or the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, outlines a little further for us what depression is and says that it is 5 or more specific symptoms within a 2-week time period that affects how you feel, how you think, how you behave, for all of the above. If you have been there, you probably already know what it feels like, what it looks like, what it sounds like. But for others, just know that it includes some noticeably differences than sadness, different mood or different displeasure, a change in activity, inability to rest sometimes, or overreacting. And sometimes it comes with fatigue. Some describe it as a black cloud following them around, and some as the heavy thing they want to get off of them. For some, depression comes situationally, like after a major life change. And for others, it comes seasonally, when the weather gets dreary, or it gets too wet, or it gets too cold. While it's no fun momentarily, the good news is that there are remedies, and there are cures, and there are ways to dump depression and cultivate more happiness and joy in your life. Consider this: you can pray your way out of it, you can praise your way out of it, or you can play your way out of it. What does that mean? Praying your way out of it simply involves asking God to show you the way out. God, what is my way out of this? How do I get rid of this? How is this minimized in my life? How do I become a more happy person? How do I become a more joyful person? How do I get both? They are two different things. So simply ask God. Secondly, praising your way out of it. Being grateful can honestly lift depression off of you. For some, it's also known as the spirit of heaviness. There's a verse that says, we receive the garment of praise. We can receive the garment of praise for a spirit of heaviness. The garment is something that we wear. And praise is a cure for when heaviness comes on you. Try it. It really works. I recall the only time I felt a depressive heaviness. It was very different than sadness. I've had moments when I felt sad, but this depressive heaviness was very different. It felt like a very uncomfortable weight that came on me. I was more noticeably sad. I did not want to do anything that day. I felt it in my body, but I'm so grateful that that particular day, at a particular moment, I remembered a verse. That verse I shared with you before, a garment of praise for a spirit of heaviness. And I just started saying, thank you. I started saying, thank you, God. I put on some good music and I got back up and I got to moving. And guess what? That heavy feeling left. It physically left me. I could no longer feel that. And I felt light again. And I've never felt that kind of bad heaviness ever again. And I hope to never feel it ever again. But praising helped me in that particular moment. And it can help somebody too. Now, playing your way out involves getting active, moving around, releases endorphins, right? Our happy hormones, and stimulates serotonin, another key neurotransmitter that we have. So moving around, get your juices flowing in a sense, which can release all that good happiness that's inside of our bodies. Whether you have experienced depression or not, just know that there is hope. There's some other remedies as well. Getting outside, getting some sunlight, spending time with those who can help keep you lifted up, right? Good company, counseling when needed, and medication when needed, right? There's sometimes with depression, It's so much to deal with and so much to handle. And you might need some medication to help you with it. And that's okay. That is okay. Depression and sadness doesn't have to cling to you or control how you live if you don't want it to. It is one of those things that reminds us, though, that we're alive, that we are human, and we come with a variety of emotions. In the film Inside Out, the main characters are emotions that we all have: joy, anger, sadness, disgust, and fear. The second one was recently released, but in the first one that was released a few years ago, there was a very interesting observation that I noticed. Now, if you've seen the first one, and perhaps the second one, you know that Riley is a little girl in the movie. And again, the main characters are these emotions who are housed inside of her head in her mental command center: joy, anger, sadness, disgust, and fear. Showed us Riley going through a transition from moving from an old home, her old familiar territory, to a new home, in a new city, new surrounding, new thing. And that came with some stuff, right? It came with a lot of different things that happen sometimes when there are major transitions. One of the interesting things that I observed, that while sadness was doing what sadness does, being sad, right, and affected how Riley was feeling, sadness had a very important job. So sometimes we want to run away from things like sadness or depression, but they can often be indicators. Sadness helped the main character, Riley, get back home after she ran away, get back home to her new home. Right? She was a jump start that was needed to get Riley to return home, so that she wasn't alone, that she wasn't by herself, that she wasn't without her family. Sadness also helped joy in a very important way, right? She helped joy by assisting her and helping put some of Riley's core memories back in the right place. And then she also helped joy by assisting her with touching part of Riley's mental command center, and things were able to light back up again after things got a little dark for her. I want you to think about this. While it's temporary displeasing, even sadness and depression as a job, it can be an indicator. And sometimes the very thing that's needed to get our lights back on, our garden going, and our garden growing in the right direction again. Just give it some thought. If you know someone who could benefit from hearing and putting any of these tools and tips to use, don't hesitate to share it with them. If something has worked for you, or if you want to share something with others who may be listening, do not hesitate to leave it in the comments on YouTube. Until next time.